Hey, thanks for stopping in to We Called It. We have a great show for you today. We are going to be talking about NFL futures bets. We've been talking fantasy recently, but we are finally back to what we like and enjoy the most, giving great odds for your season-long looks. I don't want to brag, but Ken Call has hooked me up with some beautiful helmets in the background, giving me a little bit more scenic view. We have some great signed ones. We have Kelsey and Mahomes signed Chiefs mini helmet, Justin Jefferson, Justin Herbert, and then T. Higgins. Bottom shelf, we have Jamar Chase, Randy Moss, Emmitt Smith, and Vernon Davis. He's just like, I think that was like the really cheap free one that was thrown in a deal for you. So I'm happy to have them, though. Thank you so much for the gifts, and it gives me a beautiful background. How you doing?
Doing good, and you're right. Vernon Davis was absolutely a throw-in, but Phil's benefiting from my sports raffling addiction. Hope you like him. Still have a giveaway, a JJ Watt card giveaway. So please,
$100 value. Sign up, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. When we drop great content.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, keep giving us your fantasy questions. If you have anything, I will tell you we got awesome gems from our fantasy show. You're gonna love those ones. But now we're talking about the fun things, the season long picks. You get to wait 4 months to see if they win. Super exciting to watch all year. The Jags last year, they looked like such a bad pick about 2/3 of the way through the year, and then they were like, "No, just kidding, we're gonna win out." So, yep, got some more.
If you remember
good picks for
correctly,
you.
we had that as one of our sleeper teams to win the division. So don't want to brag, but we actually nailed that one. There was a couple we missed on, but forget about those. Those don't matter. Only count the wins. All right. So with that though, Ken, do you have what's your number one pick for division winner, playoff maker, any kind of future bet to get to the postseason?
Mm-hmm. So now, don't pick the Chiefs. -500. They're gonna make the playoffs. Great. -500. You're just not getting the good enough value there. I'm fine with the less, still the minus numbers, but don't have to be super high. But I do like the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's my first pick. So a lot of it has to do with opportunity. Yes, they're in the AFC. AFC is very tough. Yes, they're also in the worst division in football. Um, Worst division in the AFC at least. So yes, we talked about the Titans. We talked about DeAndre Hopkins going there. Yes, makes it look a little flashier, but at the same time, they're just not at the same caliber as the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Colts and the Texans certainly are not. Both of them with rookie quarterbacks, they're going to struggle, at least to start the year. I'm not a Josh Richardson believer. Fantasy, sure. I don't think he's going to be winning games. I will not be drafting Michael Pittman or anyone else from that offense in fantasy. But Jacksonville Jaguars, they have 4 very, very easy wins against the Texans and the Colts. And I will be betting those almost certainly later on in the year. But, their only real competition in that division are the Texans. But I like them at -200 to make the playoffs. And whatever it is for the division, I probably like that one too.
I'll cover you for the division. That's -155. That is one I had written down. Like you said, there is just no competition. My second favorite bet there would be the Texans to win the division. But that's just because it's +1,000, and in the NFL, anything can happen. There's always crazy teams that show up in the playoffs. But now my number one kind of future bet to make the playoffs. It's going to be weird because I know I trash them all the time, but it is Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this team won the division last year. They bring back most of the roster and they swap out Tom Brady for Baker Mayfield. Huge downgrade, but there is not a lot of competition in that division. The big question is how much can Derek Carr do for the Saints? I think he's good, but remember Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton played at a top 10 PFF level last year, so he was hitting the throws, doing things well, except for in that Cardinals game. He had back-to-back pick sixes for the half. Besides that, he was good. I don't know if Derek Carr can outplay that level. So I am in on, anything happening in the NFC South. And in that case, that is the Buccaneers +750 to come out, upset everyone, and make their way into the playoffs. Anyways, so Ken, that's my first pick. Who is your second
So I actually have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, but it's kind of lumped in with that whole division, actually. So no, do not bet on every single team in the division, but pick one. It is wide open. So New Orleans is at minus 188 to make playoffs. Atlanta plus 104. Tampa Bay at plus 360. I was going to mention, I agree. I do like Tampa Bay. It's at the odds. Do I think they're going to win? Probably not, but at plus 360, sure. That those are decent opportunity. You're giving Baker Mayfield, decent offense. Yeah, the offensive line isn't good. He certainly struggled with a bad offensive line in the past, but that defense, really carried them all of last year. And that, I mean, of course, if they can stay healthy, any solid defense that can stay healthy certainly has a shot, and especially in a bad division. I like the talent in Atlanta as well, at least on the offense that's not Desmond Ritter. We've talked about before first-round draft picks in Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts. Do I trust him or Arthur Smith? Don't know. But in a bad division, if that's a bet you want to take, I totally get it.
All right, so my number 2 pick is going to be the Commanders. I know, I've hyped them up, and it's time to put my money where my mouth is. This is one of the bets I have placed already, and that's because it's plus 1,300 odds to win the division. Now, again, plus 1,300. I don't think it's going to happen. However, at those odds, it seems like a value. I have talked about how much I believe in that defensive front. It's now healthy. I mean, they have 4 guys that are Pro Bowlers, borderline, like could be all pros in any given year up front. On the outside, they have the receiving talent. They have so many options. I know Terry McLaurin has turf toe, but he'll be back week 2 or 3. And then you have Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Denami Brown. Just so many playmakers. And Sam Howell won his 1 start last year. I know. It's only 1 start, but I absolutely believe in him to be a functioning NFL quarterback, whether it's long-term or this is just like a one-hit wonder for a year. I believe in him. And Eric Bieniemy, he came from a smart offense, and I know everyone hated Matt Nagy, ran him out of Chicago, and rightfully so, because he was awful with Justin Fields. However, if you remember the first year he had Mitch Trubisky, they made something magical happen. Allen Robinson had 1,200 yards. That was an 11-win team, and I think they either won their playoff game or came a doinked field goal at the end from winning it. So I think Bieniemy can carry some of the Reed magic for at least a year and bring that to Washington and get them to be a functioning offense with a tough defense. And, you get Jalen Hurts to step back without his coordinators. You get the Cowboys without Kellen Moore calling the plays. Sounds like a recipe for a little bit of chaos at the top of that division. Ken, you're number 3.
That'll be the Miami Dolphins, and that's because their odds to make the playoffs are just minus 105, essentially a toss-up to make it. Yes, once again, AFC, yes, hard division. You don't know what you're getting with the Jets, but at the same time, that team, when Tua was healthy, that offense was nearly unstoppable. I am once again in fantasy. I'm going all in on these guys. I want Hill, I want Waddle, and I want Tua wherever I can get them. They have a bunch of fast running backs, and also Jeff Wilson, who works out really well there for some reason. But that offense, it's built on speed. It's built on getting to the outside. Yeah, they had defenses kind of start to figure them out last year, but maybe that was just Tua getting concussed, a bunch. Now, a lot of people are
you
worried.
Can't tell the difference between your team and theirs. It's a little rough.
So when you have, the thing with Tua's healthy right now, if he figures out how to avoid contact, which number 1 for his career, I hope he does, but 2 is at quarterback, it is extremely possible to do that, to change the way you play to avoid these hits, especially like the big head collisions. So I certainly think that betting on Tua, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle is certainly a good bet.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Even though you told me not to draft Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill on the same team for our fantasy football draft.
That's because it was on the same team. Yes.
I'm well aware. Anyways, I wish Jalen Ramsey was healthy for them, and I would believe in them a lot more. Unfortunately, he is out until December, but not a bad pick. And then, so that my third pick This is tough. It's 50-50 between two teams, and I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears. Now, we've hyped up DJ Moore. He's been one of my favorite fantasy guys. I've talked about Rashawn Johnson. He's another guy I think is going to burst on the scene. Their defense is suspect, but this is another situation where the division is up for grabs. I know. The Lions are, the fun pick, the exciting pick for that division because they came on and they went crazy to end the year. Something like 8-2, 8-3. But you got to remember that team was 1-8 for a reason. They did spend money, they revamped their defense, and I think they're going to be good. However, when teams go on those kinds of runs, it's questionable if they can follow up the next year. The Bears have everything going on their side, like momentum. They're young. They were fun last year, and now they spent and tried to make some moves to help their defense. They got more weapons on the outside. Justin Fields is the number one pick to win MVP per betting because of the odds and stuff. So I am just in on the Bears at plus 430 to win the division. I could see them coming out, having a last place schedule, playing, getting some easier wins, and then, just being neck and neck with the Lions and pulling out that one game because, a special play by Fields or something. So again, not saying it's going to happen, but at the odds, I don't think it's something to overlook.
So that's another division there. Seems like everyone really likes the Lions this year. And this is, Detroit never plays with expectations. Coming from Cleveland, which is essentially Detroit of the AFC, anytime we have expectations...
It's Detroit, but a little bit southeast.
Anytime we play with expectations, you see us sometimes tank, and most of the time tank, actually. But I think that division's wide open too. The Bears, they on paper they look good. You're really betting on a Justin Fields. Can he take the next step? Can he go from this dynamic rushing quarterback that can house it at any play to actually command an offense and score? So I will be talking about that team later on, Phil.
All right, so I'm gonna go. Those are the top three for each. I have some more listed, but I'm thinking we just rapid fire through these last ones because there's better things to talk about than division winners. So the last couple I have, this is going to be the Browns plus 400. If you want to know why, go listen to any of our offseason tapes, and you'll hear me hyping up, the Deshaun Watson offense and what I believe will be a good defense. Then I have two teams actually to miss the playoffs as some of my favorite bets, and that's Seattle and Baltimore. No need to, I am not a fan of Geno Smith. He fell off last year to end the year, so I am just not buying into what they did. I think there's some second-year slumps from their rookies, and that's just because they played at such a high level. Like Tariq Woolen was, a Pro Bowl cornerback, and the only reason he's not getting more love is because Sauce Gardner was so outstanding as a rookie. But I think they just pulled back a little bit. And then Baltimore, I like Baltimore. I've been a big Lamar believer. However, only so many teams can make the playoffs in the AFC. And if I like the Browns, and I like the Bengals, and I like the Broncos and the Chargers, at some point someone's got to be left out. And unfortunately, I am just not buying into this new spread, pass-heavy offense with their new weapons in Baltimore. So I think that, just doesn't have as much upside as they like to think in what's going to be a congested conference.
This is kind of a not-so-bold take on the Ravens, but I just don't think they're end up spreading and passing the ball a ton. I think that they're going to realize that that's not Lamar Jackson's thing, and I think they're going to end up running a ton again.
Well, the good news is they have two good tight ends if they want to switch it up.
Well, I like I don't hate J.K. Dobbins. I don't hate Gus Edwards and Lamar Jackson. I think they're going to run again. Sorry, I know everything they've done is the exact opposite of that. But I think how long are you going to watch Lamar pass before you're like, you know what? Maybe this guy should keep on the ground.
All right, do you have any more to run through like that?
No, just Baltimore fans are gonna hate us.
It's fine. They can join up with the Lions fans who already hate us, even though I'm sitting here with more Jahmyr Gibbs shares on my fantasy teams than I know what to do with. So I guess next up we are going to do the fun bets. So Ken and I were scouring the sports books, and we found they have some specials out there, whether it's like break records or team specific items that we were able to find some good ones. So my favorite to start is Derrick Henry to throw a touchdown. It's at DraftKings for plus 500 odds. He's thrown a touchdown, 3 touchdowns in the last 2 years. One wouldn't have counted because it was postseason, but that goal line run up to the line and then jump and pass it is a highly effective play. You're going to get someone to bite on it once a year, and I think week 9, 10, as long as he's still on the field, you're going to see it happen once more where he fools people.
I don't care what week he does it, but he's going to do it. Chig Okonkwo is just too much of a beast to not catch that easy touchdown pass. So, yes, I love that bet.
All right, so what do you got?
Okay. I have one name, 2 first names for you, and it's Justin Herbert. Now, right now, yes, there's a bunch of fun bets, but you should just go and bet on these right now. Justin Herbert's over for passing yards is 4,425. In FanDuel, it's part of record breakers. It'd be like the first quarterback to start like 3 seasons, I think, with over like this or X amount of yards. But actually, this one's just might be just as passing. But at minus 112 for over 4,400 yards, I actually like that one. I like most passing yards in the league at the plus 4,500. And you can even get him if you really want to be bold and do record breakers. So I don't hate these record breaker things. Yeah, usually I wouldn't, but just statistically, you get a whole nother game. The last few years, you get an extra game. Like these 16 game records will be broken here, sooner than later. So anyways, Justin Herbert, that offense is going to be real. And, their line is healthy. Big problem last year. Austin Eckler is not the guy to give the ball, 30 or carries to it a game. I don't think you're going to see that from Larry Roundtree or Joshua Kelly or any of those other running backs. I think that this will be a pass first and downfield stretch. This is kind of what the Ravens would want to do, but the Chargers actually have all of the assets. They probably didn't even need an extra receiver, but they got it first round in the draft. I am all in on this passing game, and the bets will follow. Also, if you're going to add some most passing yards, just Herbert for MVP. Don't hate it.
Absolutely. I was going to say months ago, we said Herbert to lead the league in passing. I am not breaking off that train. Good news from Quentin Johnston in camp just gives me reassurance that when it inevitably happens that Mike Williams, gets a hammy injury, they have a replacement ready to go. All right, another bet that I like is Deebo Samuel on FanDuel to have 770 receiving yards and 220 rushing yards. It'll break milestones in terms of like 4,000 rushing and 4,000 receiving and 1,000 rushing for him. He played 13 games last year. He hit that rushing mark and was a little under on the passing. So I think last year they went in with the game plan that Trey Lance was their starting quarterback, and they ran a Kyle Shanahan offense for that, similar to the RG3 style. Now they get a full offseason of saying, Trey Lance, you're not the guy for us. We are running the Kyle Shanahan offense that worked at the end of the year last year. We have McCaffrey the whole time, so now Kyle Shanahan can use them interchangeably the way he wanted to or did at the end of the year. More game planning, better. Deebo Samuel's absolutely shredded. He keeps sending pictures to Kyle Shanahan, so I am 100% in on Deebo Samuel coming out. And this is 1,000 total yards. This is the way I read that bet. And at plus 285, I think it's an absolute steal.
I hope they give him the ball as a running back. They just there was a second year back that looked good there in camp. They said Elijah Mitchell's there, Christian McCaffrey. A lot of guys that get injured all the time. But you know what? If they can spread the ball around, my only question with that is I just don't want to bank on him getting a bunch of rushing yards. With that being said, I mean, he could do that on a few, long end arounds, which he'll certainly get still. But, 1,000 total yards from Deebo Samuel is certainly a good bet.
All right. What else do you have?
They keep calling these record breakers, but it's like Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle to get 75 catches and 1,000 yards in a year. So 1,000 yards is 63 yards a game. And just like I said, I really like Miami. I really like that passing game. I think that those numbers will be nothing for Jalen Waddle to hit. Of course, that is a bet that Tua stays healthy too. But I just think he can do it. Now he crushed those numbers last year, and I think he's gonna crush it again. Now, Jamar Chase, I'm not even going to talk about with this because it's his odds are minus 350 to hit those numbers. Do I think he's going to do it? Sure. Just that payout's not great. Waddle's at plus 136. That's the bet to make.
So Jalen Waddle had 75 receptions exactly last year. Does that scare you at all? Because 1,000 receiving yards, I'm pretty sure you could do in 4 games because they'll probably, be going crazy, getting a couple 200, 300 yard games just the way they play.
So Tyreek Hill was really not affected by whether or not Tua was in last year. And that is just how good he is. He is as good as Waddle is. Tyreek Hill is on that next level. Now, Jalen Waddle went with Tua healthy, got the vast majority of those. He got less than 4 receptions in several games with these backup quarterbacks. Especially, he was getting these longer catches too last year. So, those are certainly the harder ones to get with backups. Like I said, this is kind of a bet for Tua to stay healthy. But, even when he didn't last year, he still got that in the first year of this offense. So, no, I'm not that scared of that.
All right. So we're going to wrap up my last fun bet, and that is the Browns to pass for a touchdown in every game this year. Now, I know that is crazy, but Deshaun Watson to throw 30 touchdown passes odds is at plus 300, while this bet is at plus 3,000. I know Cleveland is on the lake. There's always the risk of weather. When you're talking plus 3,000, guys, that, you're talking crazy, crazy things to happen. I mean, the odds for the Texans to win their division is 3 times more likely than the Browns to throw a touchdown every game. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think, I talked them up. I said they're a borderline playoff team. I said Deshaun Watson is getting back, and he, is going to be playing really well throughout the whole year. Maybe not like a true MVP candidate the entire year, but I think if the Browns start hot, he's going to look great and gather some buzz there. So 30 touchdowns, I think he'll hit. And instead of betting that, I'm taking, the bet that has a 10 times higher payout, which is just throw a touchdown every game. If you have a high functioning offense, teams like the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills, even the Lions are all plus 750 or lower. And I believe the Browns, to be in that top 10 offense kind of caliber.
I agree, Phil, but I'm doing the 30 touchdowns.
You're not going to trust weather in Cleveland that much?
I live in Cleveland, and I believe in the weather. It's not going away. I believe in the weather more than I believe in the Browns.
That's
but
fair.
Yes, I do like that bet. 30 touchdowns, even if he gets like 32, 33, which is, by the way, a Browns record, that's still going to be considered a bad year.
Absolutely.
Yes. So,
all right. So what's going
more.
on? And what else? I would say, what else do you have on these types?
All right, just one more in terms of the record breaker is Pat Mahomes to score or to throw for over 35 touchdowns. Even the running plays where they do just that forward handoff are considered passes. The Chiefs are going to score. They're just going to do it. I do not think that Isaiah Pacheco is going to rush for 20 touchdowns. But 35 touchdowns, once again, is going to be a very bad year for Pat Mahomes, and for him to score over 35 and get the most consecutive years to start, I think, for 35 in a row, whatever it is minus 146. I consider that free money. So yes, I will be doing that bet.
It's always good to have free money coming your way. Anyways, now, do you have anything else you want to work in? I am out of futures bets before we go on to, it's going to be a bit of an ad hoc segment.
Let's do it. Bring it on.
All right. So I found these right before Ken and I were coming on, and due to time restraints, we had not had much time to prep. So we are going to be looking, and we have a few. It's going to be like last undefeated team, last winless team, team to score the most points, score the fewest points, things like that. So we're just going to run through, look at the odds, and give you our takes on each. So starting first with last undefeated. I'm sorry we don't have more preparation to talk about schedule and stuff like that, but we're just going to be looking at odds and going off of it. So Ken, while you think, I will go first on this one and be bold, and I'm going to have to go with the Miami Dolphins. So I'm pretty sure they actually have like the hardest schedule to start the year, or it's the hardest schedule across the whole year period. That means up front it's going to be tough, but I'm still going to believe in them at plus 2,600. There's always that team. It was the Ravens to me last year who were always coming out and, getting those crazy comeback wins. They did it to the Dolphins. They did it to the Bills. And I think Miami is going to have that spark, that fire in them. After coming off a year with injuries, you get your second year under Mike McDaniel. They have a better idea of who they are. And they brought in Vic Fangio defensively, which I think will be a huge boost to the weakest unit of their team. So Miami Dolphins plus 2,600. It's ugly because of the schedule, but I'm going to bet on them to overcome that ugliness and come out as, the longest undefeated team, the team that's undefeated for the longest time.
Well, last year, what was it? Tua started 7-0. Games he completed, and sure, not a horrible bet, absolutely.
Well, also they're a speed team, and in the summer and in the heat, that's when they thrive, or the spring, or fall, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. The San Francisco 49ers at plus 1,000 is always like a interesting one. They're just a good team. That's all there is to it. They have a good defense. Brock Purdy looks healthy. That was a question. It's a whole year with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, and more. They're in the NFC, and that certainly helps. For the team I'm going to go with are the Buffalo Bills. I think a lot of people just kind of forget about the Buffalo Bills because they've been good for a few years. That they have their marquee game is a loss, even though it was still an amazing game, probably the best game of football played in the last 25 years. But still a loss. I think that they just get stagnant with the offense or in our minds because they're the same thing. But just because they haven't changed, don't take anything back from them. So. Has nothing to do with the fact that I got a lot of James Cook and Josh Allen on my fantasy teams, but I would happily see them go 10-0 to start.
I'm with you. Now everyone knows Josh Allen can have stinker games, but remember, like the first 10 games last year, they were a Goliath. It was them to win the Super Bowl. Period, is what it looked like. Everyone was competing for second in power rankings, and then Josh Allen got nicked up a little bit, and things started to fall apart. But absolutely a team I could see starting off strong and just running through because that's they play bully football, which sounds kind of funny because everyone should play that way, right? All right, now
the two teams I picked, the two biggest bullies out there, the 49ers and the Bills. Sounds good.
Last winless team. Okay, so Commanders are top 10 ranking this, and I'm not picking them because I have them to win the division. But I'm gonna I'm going to go crazy with this one, and I'm going to go the Giants at plus 2,300. I've talked about how they won a lot of close games in ridiculous ways last year. Like, I think the Packers, I remember watching A.J. Dillon had a wide open hole to score a touchdown and win the game with like a minute left, pretty much. And he went the wrong way and got tackled in the backfield. And just little things like that compounded, made them, it was like 6-0, maybe like 8-2 or something. And then, they stumbled, got a lucky playoff win against the Vikings team that wasn't that good. But I can see them just struggling early on. And, plus 2,300 is good odds when you put it up against teams like the Steelers, the Bears, the Patriots, Jets. I think all those teams just have more talent offensively. And I am not a believer in Daniel Jones to recreate what he did last year. And that's really the driver behind this. They don't have offensive weapons. I mean, you're talking Paris Campbell, Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton. Darren Waller is getting all the buzz, but I think it's, we saw that offense for the Raiders for a year or two, and it's not great. So, what do you got?
Well, I had a team here, and I will talk about them, but just a few surprises that for some higher up teams, like the Tennessee Titans. As much as I like the Jags, I don't hate the Tennessee Titans at the plus 1100. That just seems pretty disrespectful to Vrabel, who's
They
been
have
a
the
winner.
second best odds to win their division, yet they're the longest win. Yeah, so it kind of doesn't make sense.
I certainly would pick the Colts before them. Like I said, I think so. All of the like metrics for like Josh Richardson were not good as throwers, and I mean the bit as a thrower in college, and he didn't really need it. And he he is a complete. I mean the quintessential elite athlete at quarterback, but I just see a lot of struggling for them, especially. I mean the whole Jonathan Taylor saga. I mean there's not much to help them out, and Michael Pittman is a reliable receiver. And that is the best thing you can say about anyone else on that offense that's not Josh Richardson, who's a rookie.
Anthony Richardson.
Oh, my God.
You're talking about one of my favorite NBA 2K players when say Josh Richardson.
Yeah. I've said it a few times, too. Sorry about that.
It's all good. They caught on. They listened until this point.
I drafted a lot of Josh Allen, so sorry. But anyways, certainly like the Colts at plus 1800, but I'm sorry, the most ridiculous thing I've heard all year so far is the Arizona Cardinals are refusing to name a starter to keep a competitive edge at quarterback. You went through the whole offseason and you're not even going to say who the starter is. That I am sorry. Like I'm sure somebody won it, in camp, but and it was probably Josh Dobbs, who they just traded the Browns for.
That's what he did for Tennessee last year, right? Like it was like, oh, Malik Willis is our starter, now Tannehill's out, and it's like, dude, Josh Dobbs, you've been here for 3 days. Go out there and save us.
Yes, and so I think that I actually like Josh Dobbs, and I think that that's the right decision. But at the same time, pick a starter. Oh my God,
you're not hard.
It's not. You had a whole preseason, and you're not going to name the starter. And also, I don't think teams care. Like the whole competitive edge. I don't think that saying Josh Dobbs versus whatever that quarterback, the rookie quarterback is, doesn't matter. So yes, I'm happy I haven't drafted many Arizona Cardinals. And if you wanted to pick them, sure, because I do not think Kyler Murray is coming back after the week 4, or when he's eligible to return in week 4.
So one more team I want to point out, because I just looking in I ignored them for a minute, but now I see them, and it's like the Raiders. They're in the AFC. Josh McDaniels is just an awful coach. They got rid of Derek Carr. They brought in Jimmy Garoppolo, who's probably going to sprain his ankle on throw number 3. And they have some talent, but I don't think this is a well-run organization. I don't think I don't think they're well coached. So I guess I'm just out on the Raiders, man. And at plus 1800, I could see them being a team to struggle early on. So I pulled up their schedule while you were talking, and it's Broncos, a team I like, Bills, Steelers, Chargers, Packers, who I at least think are a buttoned up organization, Patriots, Bears, Lions. Like the Giants are the only other team I could see them beating, and that's November 5th. I'm sure they'll probably have a win or two by then, but you get the idea that I think that team actually has it rough in the AFC without a lot, with Devontae Adams and friends out there, in my opinion. So, and they're just so poorly coached. We haven't seen Josh McDaniels do anything. So I am out on them.
Well, it all depends how fat Josh Jacobs is coming in. If he's coming in out of shape, it's going to be a rough start to the year. But Jimmy G's a winner, man. Yes, it was in San Fran.
And he's going to keep that reputation when he sprains his ankle and isn't starting anymore. All right, so not interested in best and worst record. Here's the ones I wanted to talk about. Team to score the least regular season points. These are always fun to me because it's like it's just kind of wild what you can see. So I got first dibs here, and it is the Tennessee Titans. This offense, if Nuke Hopkins isn't a great wide receiver, Treylon Burks is already a little bit beat up. I could see this offense being completely flat, doing the Derrick Henry thing, which is okay, but he's older. I don't think we're going to see as many of those 80-yard touchdown runs, just because after you run that much, his legs have got to wear down eventually. He's not going to have that same speed to break away. So plus 2,000, I could see the Tennessee Titans have a really hard time trying to score, and they have that run first mentality that can hamper you in this situation.
So a few things that I look for in this one is are a really good defense and a poor offensive line. And so obviously, weapons and not having a quarterback are huge, but
that's a pre-qualifier to be in this top 3,000.
I was going to say they're already all in there. But the two, ironically, we've talked a lot about the Buccaneers being a team that can win, but they play a slow game. They have a good defense. I mean, Baker Mayfield can win a lot of 12-9 games, and they don't have to score a ton. That one and the Carolina Panthers are two. That division, I just besides the New Orleans Saints, there's just not a lot of offense that I'm really, really excited about or believe in. And so Carolina, I've heard just awful things about like their line in the preseason. They have a solid defense. If they have a good defense, it doesn't produce turnovers because lack of aggressive play on the offense, and an offense that can't move too well, and just check out the Panthers last year with Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. Like that, it was pretty rough to watch. I like those two. So Carolina Panthers plus 800 and Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 1,500.
One more I'm just going to drop before we move on just real quick, and that is it's the Patriots and the Falcons at plus 3,000 and 4,000. That is just because of the style of their play and the fact that they want to have a good defense and they want to have a run-first offense. I won't talk much more, but just, things that stood out before I started scrolling.
A big surprise there if you go up, though. What was it? Is it the third highest? Chicago Bears to score the least amount? Talk about not believing in Justin Fields. Wow.
Oh, my gosh. We're gonna feel real dumb right now. It says team to score. Oh, it's team to score. Okay. Next is concede. So I just wanted to make sure that I saw the header here. I'm like, oh man, did we just do the whole score when it's supposed to be give up? But we're all good. All right. So now we have team to concede the least regular season points. These are the best defenses coming out. I sent this in a message. It makes no sense to me that the Browns are the third ranked here. I like their defense, but man, that is really high for a defense that we blamed for all their losses last year. Joe Woods being a problem, just collapsing in fourth quarters. So just shocked to see them third overall here. But now a team I actually believe that can take the title here, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, this team is defense first. They want to not play they don't want to play an explosive brand of offense. They're going to be, pounding Najee Harris. Their offensive line still isn't that good. And they're going to hope that George Pickens and Deontay Johnson can make a 50-yard catch and they can win a game 3-0. So I think at plus 1,400, they get the elements on their side late in the year because where they're located and the teams in the division they're in. So I think 1,400, you could do a lot worse than to say, give me the Steelers.
I kind of agree. One of the other teams that kind of jumps out are the New York Jets, just being that Aaron Rodgers loves to play slow. He is, for as good as he's been, he doesn't throw for a ton of yards. He uses the entire play clock. He likes to do that. And he is totally fine. Everything I heard out of Green Bay is it wasn't, a Matt LaFleur or Nathaniel Hackett thing. It's Aaron Rodgers likes to he's just totally fine winning a 17-10 game or 24-10. And the difference is the New York Jets have a defense that is better than anything he's ever had in Green Bay right now. So they play some real good teams, and but I like a methodical offense and a strong defense. So a few of the surprises up here, and I'd have to look back at who's won previously, but the 49ers, the Bills, the Eagles, I'm not going to include the Cowboys in this one, but those three have such good offenses. Like the other teams are going to have to score to at least keep up. I mean, not that they're going to be pretty games.
Garbage time also hurts. I remember that Eagles game last year it was like a Kenny Pickett game. He threw 3 picks. and AJ Brown went bananas. But then the Steelers had like 2 late game touchdowns and lost 38-21.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not always going to be like that, but just if you score 28 to 30 plus points a game, other teams are gonna keep up just based on like the tempo and the how the game's played. The exception is the 49ers because God, they beat up people. I think teams quit against them.
They start needing the ball at halftime to go home. Yeah, all right, so let's go on. So next up we have, this is team to score the most regular season points. So obviously Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, yeah, those are all boring, so I'm not picking those. Dolphins are there. We've already talked them up enough, so I don't want to say them either. I'm going to go with the team that we have to win the division handily, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They just went out. They got all their toys. Calvin Ridley. Now Trevor Lawrence gets his second year in this system. They're going to be in a weak conference, blowing teams out. Or weak division, not weak conference. So I think they can come out and start, just rolling up the score on people with a great play caller, a great offensive scheme. And Doug Peterson isn't shy. When the Eagles were good with him, they were lighting people up. So I believe in the Jags to come out and do the same at plus 2,500.
I know we've talked them up a lot, but man, I like the Chargers here. A lot of it is because their team is going to give up points. I don't care. On paper, the Chargers have had such a good defense so many years, and every single year, teams still figure out a way to score on them. And especially with the way that this offense can move, I don't think that changes. So the more they score, fast-paced game, hopefully the Chargers will keep up. But I like them. I don't hate the Jaguars here at all. I just hope, once again, they don't win a lot of 24-7 games against their in-division opponents.
I think they can run the ball well enough that even when they're running out the clock, that Travis Etienne can maybe bust out a play. So that's my hope. Tank Bigsby. He looked good in preseason. Team to concede the most regular season points. So these are the worst defenses.
Welcome Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. I think that if he's trying to pass more, you're going to see some, untimely fumbles, untimely interceptions. And once again, like I expect a lot of high scoring games. I think that they'll be able to score a bit. I think that they'll be able to keep up with teams, but I really think that their defense, it's really going to show how bad that defense is.
Team I like is the Rams. Plus 1,100. And I know they have Aaron Donald, but I could see them moving Aaron Donald at the deadline. It seems like this team is ready to cut bait with its Super Bowl run and just move on. They knew what they got. And if they don't start off strong, I could see all their older players getting disgruntled. Like apparently Matt Stafford's wife went on a podcast and said he's having trouble relating to young guys. And that's most of their team now. So I am just not trusting the Rams. I'm just not trusting the Rams to make smart decisions halfway through the year, blow up the roster, and just look ugly. They already got rid of Jalen Ramsey. Who knows how this defensive backfield is going to look without him in it? So I think, nicks and bruises on some of their best players will lead to more timeout, and that could lead to just letting teams run up the score on them.
Was Bobby Wagner cut?
Yeah, he is back with the Seahawks.
Oh, that's awesome for the Seahawks. I mean, just like the natural leader there. But yes, the Rams were the other team that I was going to talk about. Exact same thing. Poor defense, inopportune interceptions. Matt Stafford is that guy. I love Cooper Kupp this year. I think that whole offense, like I don't think that it's going to be centered around Cam Akers running the ball. It's going to be centered around the Stafford and Kupp, and as long as he can stay healthy, he'll be leading my fantasy teams. So yes, I think that that Rams defense, that was the other one that I was going to pick with the Bears. Absolutely.
All right. That covers our little fun segment there. I think we did pretty good for not actually having looked at those. Oh my gosh, I hit the wrong button.
No.
I didn't hit stop. I hit stop recording.